Okay. So I'm just going to put a standard material on. So press M to go to material editor and just throw a standard material straight onto your cylinder. And make sure that your cylinder has 5 height segments. Go on, Will. Okay. In your front viewport, to zoom in so you can see the cylinder well, right click it and turn it into an editable poly. And then we're going to make the barrel shape out of this. Okay, so go to vertex control once you've turned it into an editable poly. Turn vertex control on. Then just draw a marquee in the front viewport over these first 2 sets of vertices like this. Okay, so selecting those ones there. To click and drag across to select them. Then use your scale tool. And just make sure your scale tool is the right one. Remember, if you click and hold, there's 3 of them. It's the top one that you want. Make sure it's that one. And then you scale them uniformly, those ones. So just push them out, like so. And then grab the set above and scale those out. So you're kind of making the shape of a barrel, and you select the ones second from the bottom and scale those. So you should end up with a shape similar to the one I've got on screen. Okay. Will, are you good? Mine's a little bit short and fat. If yours is as well, you can select the whole lot and then choose the y-axis only, just to scale them up a little bit so that it's not quite so fat. Okay. Cool. So that's going to be the sides done essentially for the barrel. We're going to draw in the detail that runs around the strips on the outside. Okay. We're just going to do the little details on the top. So look at it in the perspective viewport. Press F4 so that you can see your edges running around the shape. And then press number 4 on the keyboard or click on polygon. Select the top. Do an inset on that top. And then a extrude negatively so it drops down. So it should look, do the inset first. I'll make mine full screen so you can see what I'm doing. Inset it first, give it a little bit of a lip. Okay. Then go to extrude, but you want to extrude it negatively so there's that little dip at the top like a barrel. We're going for that old sort of wooden style barrel, okay? now go into Photoshop. Well, save that 3ds Max actually, because you don't want it to accidentally get lost. Save it as a barrel. Will, are you with us? Good man. Okay, now in Photoshop. Can anyone remember that you do certain sized textures for games? Power of 2. Remember when we were saying that they're power of 2? So remember the old school consoles that you had that would do 16-bit, right? Yeah, and you move up from there. So 16, 32, 128, blah, 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 right? So we're going to do essentially 1K. So we're doing 1024. So open a new Photoshop document, and in your pixels, so when you open it, you see this screen here, where it says pixels, change that to say 1024 in the width and 1024 in the height. That's what you'll always use, pretty much. Resolution should be 72. Ideally, it should already be set to 72 anyway. Most digital things are using a 72 DPI. It'll only ever go up, so you go up to like 300 when you're printing something on paper. If you try and print something that is 72 DPI, it'll end up looking all pixelated. Okay, just bear that in mind. Cool, so you should end up with a nice square like this. Now, we're going to make wood very quickly, and I'll show you how to do it. These two colors that you've got down here, your foreground and your background colors, change both of those, one of them darker than the other, but brown. One a lighter color of brown, one a darker color of brown. Yeah? Okay, when you've done that, come up to where it says filter at the top. Move down to where it says render in that list. And then click on fibers. You'll have a little panel come up. And it will give a kind of look of wood, right? So if you zoom out and you'll be able to see it. Depending on the colors you chose here is how nice this will look. Yours is really nice, actually, color-wise. Quite nice colors. Hit OK on that, and your square should be filled now with what looks something like wood already. Now, obviously, our barrel is going to need to have, as if it's kind of made out of slots of wood, right? So we're going to make those ourselves. So use the marquee tool. So it's just a little option here. It's also M on the keyboard. Use the marquee. Okay. So marquee. So click M on the keyboard to get to the marquee, and then just draw a very thin line. This is what's going to show where the edge of each of these planks are. Okay. Okay. Choose your paintbrush, and then grab a darker color than the two that you already have. And then on a new layer, we're going to draw in all of these strips. Okay. So over here on the right hand side, you should have an option for layers. If you can't see layers over here on the right, which hopefully you all can, if you can't, just go to window and then layers is here. Okay. And it'll open up this little dialog box over on this side. Click on what looks like a new page, little option. If you hover over it, it says create new layer. Click on that, and it places a new layer above your background. Okay, so above the wood that you've already got on there. Then, when you've done that, just with a paintbrush, which is B on the keyboard, just darken in or draw in that color. Okay, make sure my opacity is up at 100%. Okay, you won't quite see it until you deselect. So once you've drawn that first one in, press Control and D, it will get rid of that line, or the dotted line that you had there, and you've created your first little bit of separation. Once you've done one, I'll come and help you in a second, Becca, right? Once you've done one, you hold down Alt and drag, and you can make the second one, okay? And just keep an eye on the amount of pixels it's being moved across. And mine here that you can see, I've got a 59 pixel gap between the first one and the second one, okay? See that? Then if I hold down Shift and drag again, it will snap to 59 each time. So I'm just holding down Alt, clicking and dragging, and I'm just making one after the other each of these lines. Now mine are a little bit too light at the minute, so I'm going to darken them in a second, but I want you all to just add in these edges, okay? Have you already drawn your first line? Move tool, you can move to the effect, and I will hold down Alt as on that. Down to the third line, notice how it snap to the same amount. So build all the way across. Okay, so now you're holding the Alt. Okay, has everyone got that done? What you will end up with is a long list of layers here. Each one of those is one of your lines, okay? So we're just gonna merge those down. If you just hold Control and hit E, it will merge down to the one below it. So you just keep pressing Control and E, and you'll end up, you want them all on one. Don't merge it with the background. Only merge the lines with themselves. Once you've done that, if you need to make them darker or brighter, just on that layer, layer one, go to your image, adjustments, brightness and contrast, and then you can make those lines darker or lighter, okay? So we're going to start with darker ones. So just drop your brightness a little bit so they look a little more like that. Then, and here's where the sort of clever trick comes in, right click and copy your layer one. So do a duplicate of it. On that layer, move it slightly to the right. So you have your move tool turned on, and just with the arrow keys, just tap it to the right a little. Then use your brightness again and lighten that one. And it will give the effect. Move it over to the right slightly. So make a copy and then move it to the right slightly. What it does is it gives the effect of light hitting one side of the panels and shadow hitting the other side of the panels. It may look better if you switch your layer one and your layer two over. I'm going to lighten my second one a bit more. You should end up with something like that, wooden paneling. Alright, good. That's right. So, everyone done that? Save that. Yours done? Yeah. Start again. No. Filter, render. Yeah, is this a brand new? Do that. Right, give me just a second. Let me finish this last piece and then I'll come and help you again. Right, save that texture. Just have it save it as just wood or wooden paneling or whatever you want to call it. Wooden panel. You made that complete out of scratch. You haven't stolen it from Google. You haven't gone and taken a photo of anything. You've made it, okay? Which is good. That's what you should be able to do. Then in 3D Studio Max, hopefully you remember how to unwrap something that's cylindrical. Okay, so go in, modify a list. Well, turn off editable poly first. Modify a list, scroll down, find unwrap UVW. Remember to make sure that you turn this little box off here so you're not ignoring back facing. You can do this bit. Then come to a left or a front view. So you're looking at it side on, completely side on. And then select these panels here. Okay. Make sure you don't select the ones just there, because remember you've dropped the top down a little bit. So don't select those ones. So you just want this set here. Open up your UV editor, scroll down and find your projection of a cylindrical map. Click on that. Obviously, we're cylindricaling on the height or the Z-axis, so hit Z. And then you need to set up the texture in the material editor. So press M on the keyboard. You'll still have your standard material in there at the moment. So instead of the standard material, we're going to add that new wooden paneling texture, okay? So if you remember how to do that, click on the little diffuse circle, pull to the left, let go to General, Bitmap, and then go and find where you saved your Photoshop document. Okay. Remember to click the little box, this one here, to show it in the viewport. It has to be turned on. Then, in your Edit UV, this one, if you've closed it by accident, then it's fine. You just come back and open it again. So go to Open UV Editor. Then in here, instead of where it says check a pattern, you want to change that to your new wooden panel texture. So come down to where it says pick texture, and you should see a screen like this. Then go to scene materials, because you've already imported it once, and your diffuse color wooden panel should be in there.
I just put that in there.
Hold on. That's it. That's fine. Side view. Okay, I'm just going to finish doing this on here, and then I'll let those guys in, I suppose. Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Good. Well, that shows at least some ingenuity. Right then. So obviously, a barrel, I was just saying this to Becca, when a barrel's rolled out flat, it wouldn't be square. So we need to pull this down. It'll be somewhere like this, be more of a sort of rectangular shape. And then our top and our bottom of the barrel will also have to come off. So select the top one, use grow twice so that we select the whole edges. 1, 2. Click on quick planar and then scale that in so that it fits within our wooden paneling. Same goes for the bottom. Scale that in, put it next to it. And then what you should have is your first, not amazing, but your first barrel. Okay. Now, from there, it all depends on how good your texture is. So if you come into here and you start putting in pieces of metal running across, then all of that detail will apply to the one in 3D Studio Max. They work one-to-one. So, for example, if I did this, if I just put one long line across the middle, put it on a brand new layer at the top of the stack, and painted it grey or silver, then I added in perhaps some sort of dirt or mess. As soon as I hit save, the Max version will update and put that on. Okay, so they work one-to-one. Okay, right. So I'll leave you to add more detail to your barrel, and I'll let these guys in.